So recently, Donald Trump said something very interesting. Now, that's, again, not a surprise. Trump says a lot of interesting slash really dumb stuff. This is no exception. Now, this happened at a meeting of the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board. Now, during this meeting, Donald Trump was speaking with Apple CEO Tim Cook. And during that meeting, he said this.
People like Tim, you're expanding all over and doing things that I really wanted you to do right from the beginning. I used to say, Tim, you got to start doing it over here, and you really have. I mean, you've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. But we're opening it up. We have to bring people in. We want them to be people based on merit.
Wait. Tim what? Did you just say Tim Apple? As in, like, Tim, who works at Apple? Or is the CEO of Apple? His name's Tim Cook, by the way, not Tim Apple. Now, look, I don't know if this is on purpose, to be honest. Like, because it's not the first time he's done this before. He actually once called Lockheed Martin CEO Marilyn Houston Marilyn Lockheed. So I don't know if this is intentional, like, oh, you are the CEO of Lockheed, so I will call you Lockheed. You are the CEO. And like, look, Donald Trump loves nicknames, right? Maybe I'm giving him a little too much credit. Maybe I'm not, right? Or maybe he just doesn't remember their names. Doesn't remember their names, or doesn't bother to learn their last names, or I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, he's just replacing their last names with what he thinks the people do. Not sure. Still fun, right? Now, speaking of fun, the internet decided to have some fun with it, and I love that. Laney said, Stable Genius calls Apple CEO Tim Cook Tim Apple, while Princess Nepotism looks on. Oh, I love that. Ivanka's there. She is very silent, but calling her Princess Nepotism, love it. There's more. W. Kamau Bell said, Tim Apple played himself when he decided to go to a meeting with Donald emotionally and morally bankrupt, and Ivanka, Macy put all my clothes on clearance. Again, fun stuff. Parker Malloy made a list, said Donald President, Tim Apple, Jeff Amazon, Elon SpaceX, and I think that was it on that, but that's fun. Tony Poznansky says, Tim Apple on the streets, red delicious in the sheets. I do enjoy this. Just taking people's... So mine would be Jeff Internet Host. No, probably not. No. Jeff, no. You know what? We'll figure that out later. More tweets. Muna says, Tim Apple, whose colleagues include John Reddit and Bill Pornhub. Supple says, Tim Apple with President Orange. That's a good one. Jimmy Apple. Now, I love this. Jimmy Apple says, we're getting the whole gang together. Tim Apple, Jeff Amazon, Elon Tesla, Mark Facebook, Jack Twitter, Sundar Google. There's a lot. Casweta points out, he does this often. The confusion is not a bug, it's a feature. Now, I wonder why, though. Maybe his brain has rotted like the core of an apple, right? Just gone. He is unbelievably dumb, so I wouldn't be surprised. 25th Amendment, that's all I'm saying. Pat Cunan says, I wish Tim Apple would talk some sense into Howard Starbucks. You know what? I agree with that. Howard Starbucks does not need to be running as president. That is horrible and ridiculous. Trayvon Free says, please, Tim Apple's my work name. Call me Mr. iPhone. Couple more here. One is from Darth, is actually really good. Darth says, Jared, no effing security clearance. That's an important story as well. Because he should not be having security clearance. Because the guy seems to be going to Saudi Arabia and ditching his staff while he goes and talks to Mohammed bone salmon. So that's an important point. And finally, Chris Geidner says, Tim Apple. In fairness, there are people in my phone such as Tim Grinder or John Scruff or worse. So who am I to judge? And maybe we're being a little too judgmental. But then again, when it's pretty close to the apocalypse, for example, you have less than 12 years, less than 11 years in order to do something about climate change. When you have more nuclear weapons, you have North Korea's Kim Jong-un rebuilding basically their long-range missile plant, or, and they have nuclear capability. When you have, of course, all these other countries in the world that have lost faith in the leadership of America because of our president, yeah, you kind of have to have a little bit of fun and have a few laughs at his expense, lest you cry. And I think we're all at this point right now. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.